that there wasn't a massive communications or electronic or electrical failure, that something had massively broken apart in the relationship between our military and the Federal Aviation Administration, I knew that one way or another, somehow, that this was an inside job.
Three different stories, what the military did. The first story was that we didn't send up any planes until after the Pentagon was struck. And that would have meant about 90 minutes after the first sign that plane was struck.
I couldn't be a lone voice the afternoon of 9/11 saying it's an inside job, okay, because people weren't ready and would not believe that. The entire 9/11 truth movement had to grow. We had to get some much more respectful and representative and well-credentialed people to challenge it. This has happened since 2004, 2005.
That doesn't sound very good. That sounds like a stand-down. 90 minutes? You generally intercept in 10 minutes. What happened? So they came up with a second story. And according to the second story, yeah, we sent planes up, but we couldn't get there on time because the FAA had been so late notifying us that we tried, but in these cases...
It was a procedure. They just changed the procedure, and basically what it meant was that the air traffic controllers in an emergency situation had to get Pentagon approval before they scrambled an aircraft, okay, after June. Before June, the air traffic controllers went right to the military, okay, responsible for the scramble base, and would say, "Get me some birds in the air." So Don Rumsfeld took the procedures and he put the Pentagon in between the emergency and the scramble, and it worked perfectly. But we got him.
Realized these were controlled demolitions because steam in our steam lines is 800 degrees, and it's moisture-free steam. It has to be, and I've never had a steam line melt on me yet, and nor do I plan to in the future to see one melt. And that's when I realized this whole story here was bogus. And that, and Marvin Bush being one of the directors, Securicom, the company that did security here.
And Securicom was also in control of security at Dulles Airport and Newark International Airport, where 2 of the 4 flights flew out.
From 1996 to 2000, Securicom installed what was referred to as a new security system at the World Trade Center. Wirt D. Walker III, a cousin of the Bush brothers, was CEO of Securicom from 1999 until 2002. Interestingly, these facts have not been made public. Was it only a security system that was added during those years, or was it also the wiring for a long-awaited plan?
Larry Silverstein had a very big motivation, the largest insurance policy ever.
A commercial real estate tycoon with international political connections acquired a 99-year lease on the World Trade Center complex in the spring of 2001. Throughout the summer, he reworked the insurance policies on his new property, making sure that it was covered for acts of terrorism.
9/11, cover up! 9/11, cover up! 9/11, cover up! 9/11, cover up! 9/11.
A call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, you know, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Bush family, the Carlisle group, you got Cheney and Halliburton.
My name is David Lashar, and I am a war profiteer.
Halliburton, it's not what we know, it's who we know.
Yes, you do have the war in Iraq, but the war in the Middle East in general, and all this agenda fits in with so-called the New World Order.
In the early years of the 21st century, Terrorism was used by governments across the world as a pretext to scare their populations into submission. Life became a surveillance grid nightmare, with every individual's actions ruthlessly catalogued and recorded by the state. Secret arrests, checkpoints, and warrantless searches spread. The final incremental march of the police state, culminating in open martial law. This is the story of how the elite sold their people into slavery and scared the once proud and brave people of the West into submitting to being cannon fodder in wars for world domination.
Our enemies have made clear the danger they pose to our security.
We're just right outside the security perimeter at this national security event in New York City, just a few hundred yards away from Madison Square Garden, where at least 10,000 police are stationed, supposedly providing security for the Republican National Convention and all the delegates and media that are going to be here.
Sadly, we live in a world where for the foreseeable future, you're going to have to provide security all the time.
Who do you work for? Well, you need to tell us. I mean, this is a free country. Officer, can you tell me this guy's badge number? Secret police just covers his badge up? Secret police in America.
This is what's called ambush journalism, and I disrespect you for that as well. So thank you and goodbye.
The ritual?
It's none of your damn business.
We're also going to be talking to the protesters and finding out if the protesters are discussing real issues or if it's more of this phony left-right paradigm.
On Monday, that Zogby poll was released that showed 50% of New York City residents believe the government had foreknowledge and made a conscious decision not to intervene. 50% of the people who live in New York believe that.
Both candidates are cousins. They're skull and bones. They're bringing in big government and tyranny. The evidence is clear. The military-industrial complex was intimately involved in 9/11.
Many of the nearly 2,000 protesters arrested over the past few days have been taken to an old bus depot on Manhattan's west side.
We should call this facility what it is, and it's a concentration camp. It's the Pier 57 concentration camp.
Oh yeah, folks. We're in the middle of it now.
Running the 9/11 tragedy!
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your Fuji-sponsored surveillance blend.
Rollback of our civil liberties, just like them telling us we can't stand on the sidewalk here. Yeah, we can. We went to court and we can.
The Republicans are here and taking advantage of the 3,000 people that died right behind me for their own selfish politics, and it's very sad.
He's a man of perseverance. He's a man of inner strength. He's a leader who doesn't flinch, who doesn't waver, who does not back down.
On September 11th, America was attacked. Suddenly, on September 12th, according to John Ashcroft and George Bush, 270 million Americans became the suspects.
Hey, Michael, why don't you talk about NORAD standing down? Why don't you talk about NORAD standing down, Michael? Why not the really hardcore 9/11 issues? My friends, this is totally surreal. I'm in the middle of police, machine guns, high-tech sound weapons that are being used in Iraq. And the would-be dictator is on the radio. I'm in the middle of New York City. It's a hellhole of surveillance and police state. And the Bill of Rights being torched, being destroyed.
If you're here at 11:35, they will arrest you.